there might be a message here for you if you're drawn to anything visually in this picture video, as well as my voice. So I pulled this card this morning and I was looking through this deck. Let me show you the deck. It's called Through the Eyes of the Soul. And the artwork and the booklet was written by the same person. Very highly recommend. So this card really popped out at me. And when sometimes I just look at cards just for my own meditation and quiet time, and I really felt drawn. I mean, I heard my guide saying, take this one out of the deck. This would be a good one to feature as a card of the day to talk about the energy around it. So this card says, visualize healing. And we have a picture of what looks to be a Native American woman with a white crow, which when I read the booklet, it said that the white crow or the white raven is often considered to be a shapeshifter and a trickster. So we have a little bit of trickster energy here. And then we have mountain energy in the back, which technically I believe it's supposed to be Mount Shasta, which is a very spiritual portal. When you go there, there's supposed to be a lot of higher frequency starseed energy, and people actually report seeing spirit guides and starseed beings there and giving them messages and healing when they travel to this area. It's on my bucket list. If anybody's been there, please talk about it in the comments because I would love to hear your story. So here we have this woman. She's got the trickster bird on her right shoulder, which is the masculine, can be the masculine patriarchy. And then we have she's holding a bundle of sage, which would be an ancient natural technique for clearing energy. So visualize healing. When this card first spoke to me, what I was hearing was that sometimes things become such a common term, even in the spiritual world, that it begins to have a numb effect or no effect, and you kind of just bypass it, and you think, visualize healing, I've heard that before. But they were trying to say to me that there's a lot of power and energy behind these two words. So what does it really mean to visualize your healing? And what I heard when I went into meditation this morning with the card was that you cannot focus on your healing if your energy is always going to your wound, whatever your wound is. Now, your wound may be a relationship wound, a job occupation wound, a spiritual connection wound, a creativity wound, a relationship with another human being type of wound, a wound, being wounded by what's going on in the world and being overly sensitized and empathic to the point that it's causing an area of dis-ease in your life. So there's lots of different ways that we can have a wound. We can have biological family wounds from our childhood and our growing up years. So then we have an inner child wound. The focus that they were trying to say to me is that most of the time when we think we are working on our healing, we're not actually working on it. And we have to visualize our healing, not as much as we are working on it. Okay, we could be doing journaling, we could be going to retreats, we could be reading books, we can be talking to other people who've been through something we've been through. We can be doing shadow work. These are all good and beneficial things, but if we're staying kind of centered on the wound, then we're not really centered on the healing. So the visualize here is very important, coming before the word healing, because we have to actually visualize it in our mind, in our heart, feel it, see it, feel it, and integrate it and make it the primary focus is what I'm hearing. So a lot of times we're just, we are doing those things that are active, and we might be doing a lot of things to help our nervous system. You might be meditating, you might be doing yoga, you might be doing your nature walks, you might be doing your artwork, playing your drums or your crystal bowls, okay? going to your church services, whatever it is. But again, you're feeling like I'm not stabilized. I'm not steady. I don't feel like I'm making any progress in my physical, mental, emotional, spiritual healing. Okay. So what Spirit is saying to me right now is that if you don't feel that you're making progress, then there's a missing piece here. It doesn't mean the other things you're doing are wrong, but the primary piece has to be that you're visualizing your healing. So that means that you actually spend more time putting yourself into that spot of not focusing on where you're at or where you've been, but focusing on what that healing would actually look like and how it would show up in your life. Maybe it would be a healthy new friendship. Maybe it would be having the courage to join a spiritual circle. Maybe it would be having the courage to, take the risk to go back to school and really work on a degree or an area of occupation that you've really always wanted to do. Maybe it's walking away from your job. Maybe it's telling somebody that you're in a relationship with that they've crossed a boundary with you, or that you need more of something for the relationship to be successful for you. Speaking your truth, setting your boundaries, expressing your emotions. So you can meditate and do yoga all you want, but if you don't visualize what you actually want from a relationship, what you actually want from a job, what you actually want from your spiritual life, what you actually want from your free time, etc., then you are staying in this eternal loop. And this is where the trickster energy comes in with the white raven here, that you're tricking yourself, is what I'm hearing. You're tricking yourself into thinking that you're working on your healing. And you might even be going to a therapist or a counselor or a Reiki practitioner or a masseuse or an acupuncturist or whatever, okay? Not saying that any of these things are not also tools in your medicine. We're talking about Native American energy. They are tools in your medicine bag. That's my parakeets, Avalon and Willow, in the background. In case you're wondering where I am. So all of these are very profound tools. And what I'm hearing Spirit say is, if you find yourself just cycling, going from one spiritual tool to another, one spiritual healing tool to another, journaling, reading books, seminars, retreats, conferences, listening to people on YouTube, online, if you're doing that, but you're not truly sitting with yourself and saying, where do I see healing progress in this area of my life I've been working on? Then you're just you're kind of, in a way, spiritual bypassing. I know that's a very tricky word people don't like to use, but you're using your spiritual practices to mask the fact that you're not really feeling that you're progressing in your own self-discovery, your own self-beingness, your self-comfort, your self-love, your self-realization, your self-actualization, your self-embodiment, okay? So embodiment means that you have taken that healing journey and now you move out into the world with it. And other people are able to see that. It radiates off you, or maybe you even offer your wisdom or knowledge because you have embodied it and now you're able to share that in service. Yeah. So again, the mountain that we have to climb is that we have to be sure that we're not spending too much time focusing on the wound itself, whether it's self-inflicted or created by something outside of you or somebody, and that we're not also spending too much time on healing tools and techniques without taking time to assess. If you had a business, you would have to assess your inventory. How much are you selling? How much do you need to order? Like that kind of a thing. It's a self-assessment of your healing journey. Where have you made progress? How do you show up in a way that you've never been able to show up before? That's progress. How do you speak your truth in a way that you were never able to speak it before? How do you make time for yourself and self-care in a way that you never did before? Okay, so these are the kind of questions that you want to ask yourself. How has your thought system changed now that you've been on this healing journey? Do you have healthier thoughts? Do you have more positive thoughts? Are you able to redirect your thoughts easier? your emotions. Where are your emotions not taking over your life the way that used to? Where are you not submerging your emotions, where you're actually letting yourself have them, acknowledging them, being aware of them, feeling them, and moving through them quicker, maybe more than you used to. Okay, that's a lot of really great high frequency guidance, Spirit, and I thank you for asking me to choose this card and to focus on it today. So I hope that helps somebody out there. And so again, to recap, you want to sit down and really assess your healing journey and how you can see a shift between what I'm hearing now is old me and new me. Okay. And you can even do a journal entry where you draw a line down a piece of paper and you say, old me used to do this and new me now does this. If you do that and you don't see a lot of change from old me to new me, then you know that some of the things that you've been doing might have just been, focusing on a spiritual tool, but not really focusing on spiritual progress. And in the spiritual world, we would probably use the word enlightenment, evolution, transformation, growth. Okay, so those are the things that you want to pay attention to. Reiki blessings, everyone. I hope this helped someone today. And if it did, if you would please hit heart, tap the little heart button. And I would love it if you would leave a comment just out of curiosity to see if there's any other guidance you got while listening to this. And if you can share your story in any way, because it would help other people who would read the comments. Blessings. Have a beautiful, beautiful, peaceful day.